Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Magic and Miracles, where you learn how to be the magician of your life. My name is Anna, and I'm your manifestation coach. All the information from me is below, such as my website, where you can book my packages for coaching. I mainly coach in audio exchange. I found this method really useful because it really helps people to record themselves and hear themselves talk. Maybe take a pause in the recording, think about what they want to say. And essentially, for me as well, to go through your recording more than once instead of stopping you and asking you, what did you just say? On a phone session, I get to take extensive notes from your audio. I do have packages that include telephone sessions. They're all on my website. The 2 week unlimited includes 2 hours, two telephone sessions, 1 hour each. The monthly unlimited, which I always recommend, includes 5 telephone sessions, 1 hour each. And then there is a package for somebody who doesn't want to record audios on a regular basis, who mainly wants to talk to me on the phone. And I understand I have people like that in my practice who would rather talk to me live and really just, get the feedback live from me. I do record all the telephone sessions with your permission, of course, and obviously, and then take extensive notes. I really love taking notes because, first of all, this is how I really map out your history, your childhood, the way you grew up, your belief systems. It just puts it in front of my eyes. But also, I recommend everybody in my coaching to take notes by hand with a pen and paper because it gives it power. It's very powerful to put things on paper so that you can look at them. You can also, go back and look at the notes and remind yourself of what you said before. Or, in my case, I certainly keep a bunch of, notepads for all my clients, and I can go back and look at everything that we've covered. Everybody has their own assigned notepad in my coaching. So notes are really important. Again, I can't stress this enough, how powerful it is to put something on paper and really look at it. You can talk about it, there is that, but once you write it down, you suddenly become aware of, what your beliefs are made of, and what kinds of things are in your subconscious mind that, basically create your reality. So in addition to those packages, by the way, I recommend at least a month in my coaching. Realistically speaking, it's 2 to 3 months continuously without interruption. I've heard cases in my coaching. Well, it's like people have come to me and they've said to me, I've spent 9 months in coaching with some other coach, or 7 months in coaching. Well, to me, it's ridiculous. If a person knows what the fuck they're doing, it's not necessary. It's a waste of time and quite frankly, money. I'd rather you get into my coaching, do it really, hardcore, which I'm a very straightforward, hardcore coach. You really have to read my agreement once you book the coaching with me, which you have to pre-book, and then I'll let you know what date you can start. There's usually a wait for me to let you know when I have, a space open up. But essentially, you do have to pre-book and email me, and then I'll email you back when you can start. But please read the agreement. Essentially, it says that I'm a very straightforward coach. Sometimes I do curse. I don't mind if you curse in the coaching. The reality of things is that people do curse on a daily basis. So, I'm not a prude, and I'm not going to judge you for anything. And everything is obviously confidential in my coaching. And so back to the agreement, it basically states those things. That there are rules in my coaching, that you cannot send me more than one audio at a time. unless I ask you to. And also that, you know, the coaching fee is non-refundable. I go on the assumption when I put out these audio videos on my YouTube, to give you the opportunity to get to know the kind of coach I am, the kind of style I have, so that when you come into my coaching, it doesn't come as a surprise. Okay, I'm very straightforward, very direct. I don't think you're getting into coaching for me to pay you compliments, to sugarcoat things. This is not how change is delivered into your life. Chances are you're getting into coaching to begin with because there have been a dysfunctional cycle in your life being repeated over and over again. Some kind of relationship drama, some kind of maybe business drama, I don't know. But the thing is, sugarcoating things doesn't get you anywhere. And quite frankly, I don't have the time or the patience for it, which is why I'm very direct and tell you how it really is. So I only have like a gajillion, YouTube videos, and before signing up, I'm just assuming that you already know what you're getting into and my personality. I'm not a therapist. That's another condition on my contract between you and I, the agreement. I'm here to coach. A coach is allowed to tell you what they think. A therapist is not. It's a huge difference because while, I can tell you I'm only suggesting what you do with your life, I cannot tell you what to do with your life. Nevertheless, I am totally allowed to tell you what to do in your life, meaning suggest what you should do. And if you take my advice, great. And if you don't, well, that's your prerogative. So also just to wrap this up, there is a crash course for one on my website. This is for somebody who basically wants to go over all the basics, everything that I cover in my coaching by themselves, and then have a 2-hour conversation with me. Usually I split those up. I can only do 1 hour at a time. If you have any questions during those 2-hour, 1-hour conversations on the phone, you get to have your questions answered, and I think that's very generous of me, provided that I basically give you my holy grail of coaching. And finally, there's a seminar for up to 10 people. This we can do in New York or via Zoom. And if you're not in New York, we can discuss. Just email me and then, we'll talk about it. Everything needs to be pre-booked. And that's the only way I book my time and take your intention for me to be your coach seriously. Okay, the subject of today is how to create the outcome you desire. So obviously, this pertains to everything, right? It could be anything. It could be your SP. It could be a lawsuit situation. It could be money. It could be whatever. Anything at all. And so right now you may find yourself in a situation where like it could go either way, or you're like, you feel like you're stuck, quote unquote, or there's some kind of a problem, or something is like literally not what you want it to be right now. Now, again, I really have to emphasize that in my coaching, we go over belief systems extensively. It's all about beliefs. Everybody has their own story. Everybody has picked up beliefs that, do not serve them right now. And that's primarily everything that we cover in my coaching, like from childhood to this moment in time that you've lived, is basically to do with your beliefs. So my audios are always tailored on YouTube, tailored with the understanding that, either you've already done this work, or this is when you do the work, this is how you do it, okay? In other words, if you don't believe in yourself, if you don't have your beliefs straightened out, I'm not going to sit here and say like the other coaches on the internet that this is going to work for you. So which is why there are so many frustrated people on the internet watching a 500 million YouTube situations. And I know what those coaches are, and I'm not going to name them, but it's really a disservice, because what you really need to do is get into a coaching for your particular situation to be examined and your particular beliefs to be examined. But that's just the truth. And, if you hire me as a coach or somebody else, the truth remains that you really need to work on yourself first and then apply these situations. And so to create the desirable outcome of your situation right now, you really need to understand why you created this situation to begin with, right? So this is why belief systems come in so poignantly in every single audio that I record. You created the situation somehow with your SP, with your money, with whatever. It's all your creation. Remember, the world doesn't really exist. This is an imaginary world. It really seems like it's so staring you in the face, and it's really like, oh my God, it's so stressful and this and that. But at the end of the day, right, none of this really exists. Okay, you're just consciousness going through, one image after another, like, when they used to have these like old-fashioned movie projectors that one slide would go after the other. They used to film. The word film as in movie derives from literal film. It used to be a film, a composite of different images that would go through the projector and create motion. And so like that, just like that, your consciousness is traveling through billions of parallel realities. As consciousness, you are the projector, and you're going through these parallel realities as in like composites of images on one strip of film, creating your reality. So at any point in time, you can turn things around. But you really have to start changing your consciousness. And consciousness changes through beliefs change. And so your problem right now may be that you've so ingrained this understanding in your mind that, well, this is how things are, and this is how it's always been, and this is how it always will be. But that's just absurd. If you understand what I just explained to you, how at any given millisecond you can change your entire composition of your reality and start going in another direction rather than repeating the same cycle, again, provided you've done the work on your beliefs, you understand that there is nothing set in stone. You're always in charge. You're always in control. And even the shit that you've lived that is not so, seemingly great or in your favor can suddenly start turning around in your favor. Because even the bullshit that you've lived through, even the drama that you've lived through, can suddenly somehow in that parallel reality start serving you. Because you've learned some lessons, you've derived the experience from it. And even that, if you allow it to think of it in that way, can start serving you in some way. And in fact, maybe if that drama hadn't happened, you may have not been, be able to arrive to this point where it actually serves you. It actually gets, the result that you actually want. And so ask yourself this question: are you addicted to your drama? Are you really addicted to your drama to the point where you cannot let it go because you can't even imagine what the world would look like if you're not living this drama? You got to let go of the drama. The drama has its purpose to a certain degree, to a certain point. But once you realize that change is not only possible but necessary, but also, quite frankly, at your command, as Neville says, at your command at every single millisecond of time throughout your day, then, the decisions are, first of all, the decisions are necessary, but the decision is yours to take a different route. At this moment in time, you can change completely the entire reality by starting to think that I've had enough of this fucking drama. I'm going to make a change. And I'm going to think of the outcome to be my desirable outcome. That's how I'm going to think about it. Because before, you might have been thinking, well, no, it's going to be just like before, and I don't know how it's going to be. I don't know how it's going to change, la, 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 la. Well, that's a self-fulfilling prophecy. If you're saying these things to yourself, then you're condemning yourself and you're producing more of the same bullshit. If you all of a sudden right now, you start changing your mind and you're saying to yourself, you know what? I'm going to make a change. I'm going to, even though, I don't see how it's going to change right now, I'm going to think to myself that this is going to turn around in my favor. But immediately it's going to start changing in your favor. If you start thinking this way, incrementally so, but once you make that decision and that choice, you're rerouting yourself to a destination where you actually experience those things. Because remember, this is just a holographic universe. You're the only one in the room. You're the only one making the decisions. And while your previous drama, panorama, as I like to call it, was real, it was real. Your trauma, your story is real, but it's just an experience. And so when you process your experience and you realize what it had taught you to believe, and once you start reworking it, and ideally with professional help, because it's a little bit challenging to do it on your own, you really need for somebody to guide you professionally how to really process all that shit. But in essence, once you do process it, you arrive to this conclusion that, just as you live that drama and that trauma, an equally magnificent future and present not only is possible, but exists right now for you. And you can tune into it. No matter how many times you failed, no matter how many times you've been disappointed, no matter how many stupid SPs you've attracted that mistreated you and this and that and the other, no matter how long it's been going on, you can most certainly, definitively so, change it right now with purpose, deliberately and with purpose. So the idea, of course, is not to pay attention to what has been before. And when I say this, I really mean that once you process it and you really make good with what happened before, once it no longer bothers you, once it's no longer present in your body, because remember, emotions create. And if you're walking around with emotions like anger, frustration, resentment, unforgiveness, this and that and the other, well, I got news for you. Not a lot of things will change. Because emotions are vibrations. It's energy in motion. Emotion is energy in motion. And so if you are residing in an energy of anger, frustration, unforgiveness, you know what? It's going to be really hard for you. It just really is. And so it's imperative that you let go of something that is of low frequency, like anger, frustration, resentment, and forgiveness. It's imperative, but it takes work. I mean, it just takes work. It's not going to be like you're going to snap your fingers and voila, you have it like figured out, because chances are you've lived the same drama for years, like I said, and you just don't just unlearn it in one split second. It's just humanly impossible. You have neurons in your brain that are wired in a certain way right now that have taught you to think a certain way. And rewiring of the brain takes at least a month. This is scientifically proven. I'm not making this up. Go look it up. And so the initial part of my coaching, again, a lot of people are so fascinated with manifestation online and this and that, and they think they're under the impression that, well, I'll learn this technique, I'll watch this video and this and that, and I will be set. No, that's honestly, no. Really, really no. And any kind of coach that tells you this is lying to you or really is misinformed. Either two of those things, really. And so the beginning of my coaching is really examining where you are right now. What kind of ideas are you operating on? What kinds of creations did you create in your life? And that's not pleasant. It's not, because you're facing yourself, and nobody wants to do that. Everybody wants to just shove it down and move on to manifestation techniques and this and that. And, you can do that, but the results are not going to be there. You're going to be frustrated. And even if you do manifest something, it's not going to stick. It's not going to stay. So my job is here to tell you the truth, how it really works. how to rework the structure of your mind and to really have those manifestations stay, not just like do some kind of quick fix. Okay, my example is always, I'm not a burger, I'm filet mignon, I'm not some fast food, I'm full, like 4-course meal. My service of coaching is a 4-course meal with champagne on the side. It's really necessary to take your time to do this, because otherwise, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? I really take my time with every single one of my clients. I really pay attention to every single word they say. And you really should come, embarked on this journey with me, prepared to do the same. Otherwise, like I said, I don't know why, what are you doing with your life? And so going back to the subject, the idea is, no matter what it looks like, the 3D, right? Everybody's favorite 3D. No matter what it looks like, no matter what anybody else says, doesn't matter who it is. Your mom, your dad, your lawyers, your most trusted friend, anybody. Unless, of course, it is your trusted coach who wants the best for you. And the best coaches really let you decide what it is you want. Don't tell you what to do, or, you can suggest, you can direct, you can, certainly stir in the right direction. But if you decide to manifest an outcome and you really set on that outcome, you really should not listen to anybody about anything related to that it's impossible, that how is it going to happen. And first of all, a good coach will never tell you it's impossible. So I just wanted to include that really quick. You would be surprised. I've heard different stories that, some coaches are saying certain things to people which are really disheartening, which really, really makes me angry, by the way. But no matter what anybody no matter what it looks like, no matter what anybody else says, you really have to make up your mind about what you want and nothing else. And no matter what it looks like, again, and no matter what anybody else says, you're sticking with it. You're just sticking with it like a stubborn fucking donkey. And you're like, this is fucking mine. Like a tiger, whatever. Like a lion, like that just like grabs onto some kind of like, prey or something. I don't want to make this graphic, but basically like you're grabbing into it and you're not letting go. This is mine, you say. This is my outcome. This is what I want. And even though, the 3D will try to convince you otherwise for some time, and the people in 3D, some of them will try to tell you this and that and the other, you stay on your course. Again, like a stubborn donkey. In one ear, out the other. What's that you say? No, I don't care. Listen, most important thing is to decide what you want, what you're made of, what you're inspired to do, what kind of outcomes you want. Everybody else can go fuck themselves. Like, seriously, what does it matter listening to other people? They don't create your reality. They don't live your life. Why in the world would you listen to other people who try to discourage you to do certain things that you really want? It's crazy. It's quite literally lunacy. And so you really have to become a new person internally and marry that reality. Just really like completely fuse with that reality of your preference in order to produce that result. You're not just saying, oh, I'd like that. No, you're there in that reality. You fuse with that reality. And so what you have to understand is that some people will not correspond to that reality anymore because their energy is not coherent with that reality. They will, in other words, some friends will fall off. Some people will not want to talk to you anymore. Some things, will not be there anymore, and this and that. And that is what's supposed to happen. Some endings are necessary for you to get where you want to get. And don't stop it. Like, if somebody wants to leave, even if it's an SP or whoever friend and this and that, let them leave. You becoming a brand new version of you with what it is you want to create is what your focus should be. And if their energy doesn't correspond with yours, that's fine. If later on that SP or friend comes up on your level and you get to create this new version that's corresponding with your new reality, fine. But just be prepared that some of them will definitely disengage with you. Doesn't mean that you cannot recreate this other version and this and that, but in the beginning, some people will definitely fall off. Now, parenthesis here, some of them you will not want to recreate, and that's perfectly understandable by me, because some people just behave in certain ways that you don't really want them back anymore. It just, if you ever see them again, it's just a reminder of the way that they behave towards you. And by then you're on such a high level that you don't really want to deal with that fucking bullshit. You don't want to be reminded even of that by their face and this and that. You want to start to clean and engage with people who are on your level, and that's it. And so the idea is here is to focus on yourself, not what others say, not what others do. If they want to walk away from you, that's fine. If they want to behave in some moronic way, let them behave that way on their own time. Your focus should be so steady, so laser sharp that, nothing, makes you waver. Nothing makes you lose focus of that end goal. Just you completely unfazed, like you just don't give a shit, completely unbothered and completely unfazed. Like, what's that? You're doing that? Yeah, well, go fuck yourself. You don't have to be rude to people. You don't have to be, obnoxious, but you really have to go after what it is you want. And if they're not coming along on that journey, well, then they're not coming along on that journey. If they're not doing what you want them to do, you need to stand up for yourself and demand that they kindly behave in your reality the way that you want them to. Otherwise, you will disengage. This goes back to focusing on yourself, to the self-love, and to respecting yourself and your desires. I also want to include affirmations. So a lot of people talking about affirmations, and for those of you on my channel who have been here for quite some time, know that I'm not such a huge fan of these endless repetitions. I think it's a little bit alarming and a little bit kind of crazy for me to witness so many people on this trend when there is a really masterful way to surpass all of that and go to a higher tier of creation. You really don't need affirmations that much if you just decide what it is you want. If you set it in stone in your mind that this is what I decided, this is what's going to be and nothing else, no other version of events, you don't need fucking affirmations. Sure, you can write down a couple of affirmations like this is what I'm creating and this is how it is and da-da-da. 3 or 4 maximum on an index card. But that's secondary to really applying the law of assumption, if you will. But that's not even what I'm talking about. Once you create something in your mind and set it in stone, and by that I really mean like it's set, like it's done. Like in your mind, it's done. It's done. Like this is why you're able to completely focus on your goal and not deviate and towards anything that people say. In your mind, it's done. Why do you need affirmation so much? Affirm what? It's already done. You're already living in that parallel reality that contains every single desire that you have already created in the invisible. You start with the invisible. You create it in your mind with energy, with emotions. And emotions have a spectrum, happy, sad, depressed, angry, this and that. If you're creating something that really makes you happy, or will make you happy with that energy, with that emotion, and you set it in stone, and you know exactly what it looks like, and you know exactly what it feels like, and you know exactly what the kind of outcome you want, you don't need fucking affirmations so much. It's nice to have them. It's nice to have some kind of sayings, and I have them all around my office. But Do I repeat them like throughout my day, every single day, like multiple times a day? No, I don't. First of all, I don't have time like that. Second of all, that's kind of a little bit crazy. Not a little bit, it's fucking crazy. Because if I'm reading it one time, that's enough for my brain to download it. And for yours too. You can read it once a day, twice a day, like in the morning and at night, but that's about it. That's about it. That's all the reminder that you really need, quite frankly, because you're already tuned in into the parallel reality. You know what it looks like. You know what it feels like. You know what it smells like. If you touch it, you know what it feels like with your touch, etc., etc. Creating with senses and creating with emotions surpasses far beyond any fucking affirmations, any fucking techniques, any fucking oh my goodness, oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Like, please, let's not make it more complicated than it needs to be. You see your reality around you, right? You know what reality feels like. Well, if you created a different reality, what would it feel like? What would it look like? It's not that complex. And just the idea is that you're creating it with feeling, you're creating it with emotion. And so if you know what it would feel like if you had it, as Neville said, feeling is the secret, but it goes a little bit beyond that for me. Okay, it's not just the feeling, but you literally are in a different world of your creation where that desire is already like playing out. It's a whole different world. It's a parallel reality in which it's colored in different colors of your creation. And colors have emotions. I don't know about you, but I associate, as an artistic person, I associate colors with emotions. And so different colors for different people mean different things. And so you can color your desire with a certain color to give it a certain oomph, to give it a certain like story, to give it a certain reality, and really like infuse with it and fuse with it and infuse it with that emotion. And that's what makes it alive. And so the playing with the spectrum of emotions is the most powerful thing of all. It's beyond affirmations, like I said, beyond any technique, beyond anything at all, beyond any repetition whatsoever. It's magic like that. That's what real true magic is. So just to recap, you cannot pay attention to what people say. You really have to work on yourself to discard the old beliefs and stop the cycle of drama. Well, first of all, that's number one. Stop the drama cycle. Number one, don't pay attention to anything or anyone if it's not, in concert with what it is you want to create. You have to become a new person in order to fuse yourself with the new reality. And some people will follow. You have to focus on yourself and not what others say. You have to really cater to your desires, not what other people want you to do. You have to set it in stone and not affirm till the end of time, but set it in stone with your emotions and make it normal. This is my last point. Make it normal. After you're done with creating it energetically and coloring it and infusing it with emotion, you really have to make it normal. You can't be like, oh my God, freaking out, because when this is your state, then there's going to be a slight delay, or it's going to come, but it's going to be arduous. You have to really make it normal and say, yeah, of course this is coming. It's as normal as, I'm sitting here in the room, in this chair and talking to you. This is how normal you have to make it. You have to really make friends with the new world, the new reality, to the point where you overlay your new reality over what you're seeing right now. And I'm telling you, in less than a day, you will see changes that before were seemingly impossible. It can come in increments, like I said, but eventually you will get the result that you seek with 100% certainty. And you will look back and thank yourself for not paying attention to the 3D, to other people, to the circumstances, and really sticking with your desire 100%. Thank you so much for listening. All the information from me is below. Until next time. Ciao, ciao.